One thing that I have been very adamant about, and I've been repeating almost every other week, is that July is going to be a huge month for crypto, but specifically for altcoins. Right now, on the last 24 hours, we are seeing altcoins jumping in a big way. XLM alone is up 12.9% today. Uniswap up 7.6%, Radium up 10.2%, Curve up 7.8%, Polygon up 6.4%, IOTA up 5.5%, HBAR 4%. Even XDC and Algorand have been jumping here and there. And this is what the last 7 days looks like. XLM up 20 plus percent, Uniswap up 12 plus percent. We have meme coins jumping, Crow up 18.2%. Polygon up almost 10%, Radium up 17.4%, XDC 9.6%, Algorand up 4.5%. But this is just a very small gain. But we are starting to see altcoins gaining momentum, gaining some strength here. This is exactly what we wanted to see in July. Now, currently speaking, if we actually look at the last 7 days, the weekly figures across the board, Bitcoin up 0.3%, but Ethereum is up 5.6%. Again, phase 2 of the cycle could be starting here, where Ethereum starts to steal the show. This is what we want to see from Ethereum. When it comes to the entire crypto market, let's just refresh, make sure that everything's up to date. 52 neutral territory on fear and greed. Altcoin season 27 out of 100. We are starting to see this gaining a little bit of momentum. We're starting to see altcoins, getting focused on a bit more. This is at the time where Bitcoin dominance is starting to drop a little bit. Last 30 days is what Bitcoin dominance looks like. It looks pretty flat on the chart here. Don't worry, I do have the chart open. We'll talk a little bit about that. But Bitcoin, 108.7K roughly, was trading just under 110K earlier today. We'll talk about that here in a bit. But for the most part, the main focus here is what Ethereum has been doing over the last 7 days or so. And it has been a nice step to the upside. But we still have to, we still have a lot of work to do here. I mean, ultimately speaking, when we are looking at Ethereum on the last 1 year, we want to clear $3,000, which will lead us to 4K. After that, we really kind of look at the 2021 highs. We still have a little bit of work to do, but guess what? We're only 9 days into July. So, I do think that by the end of this month, we should be looking pretty good. XRP was up significantly over the last 7 days. It was sitting at about $2.40. This is what let me go to the last 7 days real quick. So we were hitting about $2.40, up about 7.56% in the last 7 days. Nothing too crazy. It's not like 20+% gains like XLM, for an example. But this is still a pretty good start on XRP. We still have a little bit of work to do when it comes to XRP, but XLM, I mean, guys, let's refresh real quick on XLM and just really kind of look at the last 7 days real quick. 23% on XLM, going from 23 cents to almost 30 cents. This is what the last 1 month looks like. This is what the 1 year looks like. Again, we're starting to break out of that massive downtrend. This is what we want to see across the board for all of these altcoins. Even XRP has been pretty stable here. We've been holding up. Last year, I mean, listen, XRP up 446%, XLM up 228%. These are still solid gains in the last 1 year, and we're now starting to break out of those downtrends. This is very bullish for the altcoin market, and for a lot of these altcoins. Even HBAR, for an example, let me refresh real quick because CoinMarketCap seems to be breaking on me a little bit. But when it comes to HBAR, we have a very similar setup to XLM, where we're just waiting for that big breakout of that downtrend. We still need to clear those previous highs. So with XLM, we want to clear 32 cents. If we're actually looking at the charts here, it's about 33.5 cents. HBAR, same story here. We want to actually clear 22, almost 23 cents on HBAR to actually get that breakout confirmation of the downtrend. And then, of course, with SUI, we've been talking about SUI recently. This is what the 1 month looks like. This is what the last 7 days looks like. And this is what the last 1 day looks like. Pretty flat overall chart. But again, it's mainly just trying to get past these previous highs on these charts for these altcoins to go absolutely crazy. We probably won't get there until we see the next wave down on Bitcoin dominance. But what have I been saying over the last couple weeks as well? It's not just about crypto. Don't just focus on crypto, also focus on stocks. Now, I'm still waiting to see if we are going to have this nice drop back down to like 61.24. So far today for stocks, we did hit a nice little high at about roughly 62.68, or yeah, 62.68, almost 62.70. And so far we are trading at about 62.36 right now. We could still have that tap of the previous highs. Now I'm looking at this on the daily. If we're looking at the daily, it would be a little bit higher at about roughly 61.50. But the main thing here is that the next target is 69.60. That's the next high target, which from our current level, it's about 11.61%. From these lows, it would be about 13.5, almost 13.6%. From our previous highs, 10.81%. But again, stocks are looking pretty good. We're still trading at all-time highs. I mean, I know that we have this all-time high candle from July 3rd, Thursday, but still we're above the highs going back here to February, which is exactly what we want to see for crypto. Right now, Bitcoin, this is what Bitcoin's overall chart setup looks like on the weekly. This is what the daily looks like. So we're just kind of holding on to that upper trend line on the daily, which is exactly what we want to see. But we need to clear these highs from June. We want to get over roughly 110, almost 111K. We did tap it recently on Thursday, actually, to retest this breakout, which would take us to the all-time highs from May, which is right around 112K. Once we get over those levels, which again, right now we're just kind of sitting here in a stable way. Once we get over this high, 120K will happen very quick on Bitcoin. And if we are going to run to 120K while Bitcoin dominance continues to break down, which I do have two levels here to watch for, a break below 64.5% roughly, and then the next target would be around 63.68%. This, if we lose this 63.68% level, that would signal that the next key level on this chart, which is around 62.15, will be next. Just for reference, okay, in the last week, XLM is up 20+%. That's from Bitcoin just dropping 1.22%. From our current level on Bitcoin dominance to get to this bottom level, this would be a 4% drop. If we drop 4%, just 4% on Bitcoin dominance, while Bitcoin itself continues to rally above these highs to target 120K, that is a 10.4% push while Bitcoin dominance is dropping off. This will lead to Bitcoin dominance decreasing while Bitcoin increases, which will lead to Altseason. Right now, we're on that bottom one, right? Where Bitcoin dominance is decreasing while Bitcoin remains stable, which just means altcoins are increasing. So if you're excited about XLM being up in the last 7 days, 20, almost 5%, and if we're looking at most of these altcoins in the last daily view, there's some nice gains across the board. But guess what? This is absolutely nothing. Once we actually start to see Altseason hit this market, you'll know. You'll know because the gains will be absolutely insane. When we look at the yearly gains for some of these altcoins, like XRP up 450%, HBAR up 154%, 90+% for Curve, XLM 239%. This is in the last 12 months. Guess what? These types of moves happen in like 3-day time intervals for altcoins when we are in alt season. We watched this happen back in 2021 as well. Just for reference, if we're actually looking at this, this is monthly candles, okay? These are 158% pushes, 40% push. This was 219%. And some of these gains, if you actually look back on like the chart, in daily candles, we were up like 30 to 40+%. The moves when we are actually in alt season are extremely violent. It's a very volatile time for the altcoin market and for crypto. That's why you take the profits on the way up. But on top of that, we are also very close to the FOMC meeting. We are about 3 weeks out from the FOMC meeting. I don't believe that we get the Fed rate cut in July. Right now, there's about a 6.7% chance. September, though, has a 72.8% chance of a rate cut decision. This is at a time where we now have Trump calling for at least 300 basis points of rate cuts this year. And listen, if we start to see this, while stocks are trading at all-time highs, crypto almost at all-time highs, the real estate market has been booming, rate cuts would send all of this soaring even higher. Also, the main reason why I do think that we are now seeing Trump calling for rate cuts in a very violent way, outside of the fact that we haven't seen a rate cut at all in the last roughly 7 or 8 months now, while again, the ECB has been cutting rates like crazy, is also because of the M2 supply. We now know that the Fed has been injecting liquidity. I've mentioned this now 3 times on the channel. We can see that from the M2 supply. Now, the next release here is July 22nd. The last time that this was updated was June 24th. July 22nd is when we really want to look into this chart. This is what the last 1 year looks like. We can actually see the change from December to now. I actually have the chart open over here. We're actually up about 2% now, 430, almost $2 billion. The question is, how much has changed since roughly the last release on the M2 supply? And remember, I shared with you guys multiple charts of Bitcoin against the M2 supply. Yes, it's a lagging factor, but if we are going to continue to follow this, and if the next release on the M2 supply, which is on July 22nd, by the way, the next FOMC meeting is July 30th. If we see this push even higher, which I 100% believe that we do. In fact, I think that we close the gap and push over $22 trillion. If we see this, the next target on Bitcoin outside of 120K and the top for Bitcoin this cycle should be around $150,000 to $170,000. And I know that that sounds crazy because right now we're trading at 109K, but if we are thinking about that, a change from here to just $150,000 on Bitcoin would be about 37+%. At a time where Bitcoin dominance, guess what? If we actually look at this on the 1 week, we are still trading at major highs for Bitcoin dominance. We're not even close. We're not even close to where Altseason would officially be red hot, which would be right around like this level here. This is around May 3rd. Technically speaking, we can go to the bottom of the May candle here. This would be a 31% drop on Bitcoin dominance, while Bitcoin is running 30+% as well. This will lead to the largest altcoin season ever. This would also have altcoins trading at anywhere between like 5 to 20x higher than what they are at now. Micro caps, like lower cap gems, they will usually see the last wave of liquidity. So what we will see is a lot of money trickling down. Usually small caps, mid caps, they usually see that towards the end of the cycle, but they will be extremely violent in terms of the moves that they see. So we kind of think about, you know, during the last cycle in 2021, we watched as a lot of altcoins that were sub $50 million, they moved anywhere between 20 to 50x in gains. Now, again, when you hear 50x gains in crypto, take it with a grain of salt because it's extremely hard to actually get into something that does do a 50x return without substantial risk. But if you are in XRP or Stellar or HBAR or SUI, projects like these, they could easily 5 to 10 plus X. And, you know, again, the risk is not as extreme on a lot of these projects because they are utility-based projects and they are essentially blue chips in the space. But this is where we should be watching, you know, for altcoins to really start to break back out from that massive downtrend, because the last major positive gain on altcoins was back in roughly December into January. We're about 6 months out from any positive gains on a lot of the altcoin charts. And even right now, even though, you know, Stellar is pumping 25% in the last 7 days, the last year, we're still down compared to these highs back here in November. And again, this is the last time that Stellar was actually trading in a very positive way. And, you know, you're looking at like 8 months now of just downward pressure on XLM. So when we actually break out of this downtrend, yeah, definitely prepare for XLM to make a lot of waves in this market. So right now, I'm extremely bullish on altcoins. I do think that Bitcoin dominance is starting to weaken, while Bitcoin is looking pretty good. Again, we're only 9 days into July. I do think that this is going to continue to be a very bullish month for crypto and for altcoins specifically. And with that being said, definitely pay attention to the FOMC meeting this month. I don't think any rate cuts this month. September is probably prime time for rate cuts, but the M2 supply. Focus on July 22nd for the M2 supply release. If you guys are in the Discord, I will obviously update you guys with this, but this is definitely something to watch for because this means more liquidity flooding into the markets. We already know that the Fed has been injecting liquidity silently into stocks, which is exactly why, we see stocks trading as high as they are. And I do think that the S&P does continue to pump throughout the remainder of this year. So with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, so notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.